guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry I've kind of been on a hiatus, but as you can see behind me, the background is different. I moved at the beginning of this month and I'm just now kind of settled in, so I figured it was time to make another video, another paranormal storytime video. So the last video left off where I was talking about how I saw an apparition of my mom, so I'm just gonna kind of keep on going from that. This video I'm going to talk about some of the strange phenomenon that I experienced at that house. The first thing that was very weird was I would experience cold spots in my house, or I would feel like a cool breeze coming at me out of nowhere for seemingly no reason. Taking from what I knew from those ghost hunter shows, they said that you'll feel those things when there's like a spirit present in the room with you, and I felt it quite often. One thing about the house that we lived in was there was no air conditioning, so the house would get quite hot, and it really wasn't drafty. I would be in areas in the house where it would be odd for just a breeze to come out of nowhere. I mean, it would be like in the center of a room. I wouldn't even, like, my mind wouldn't even be focused on like how I thought the house was haunted or anything. Like, it wasn't thinking about anything paranormal. It would just happen out of nowhere. Another thing that would happen a lot was the hairs on my arms would stand up, like straight up. And again, that's something I've never experienced anywhere. And again, it would happen at the most random times. There was one time where I was laying in my bed just reading a book. I was very, very engrossed in my book, so my mind wasn't anywhere except for my book. So I go to turn the page, put my arm in front of me, and the hairs on my arm is standing straight up, and I look at my other arm, it's the same thing. And then of course after that I got really freaked out, and I'm pretty sure I slept with the light on that night, because then I was more aware of how like electrified the room felt, and it felt wrong to me. And another thing that has happened that has only happened in a couple different places, actually it's currently happening again in my apartment, which is kind of freaking me out, but I would see orbs, and I would see different color orbs. Now if you don't know what an orb is, it's basically just a little ball of energy, and it can range from different colors. I started out seeing the light orbs that were just bright lights, and they would shoot out of nowhere. It'd be out of the corner of my eye. If I'd be turning my head sometimes, I would see it. I would see them just kind of dash away from me, or down the hallway, you know. I would see them just very randomly. And when the paranormal activity was getting worse, I only ever saw black orbs, and that freaked me out. I'm still not quite sure like what the different colored orbs mean, if it's different types of spirits or energies or whatever. But I would see them a lot, to the point where when I would see one, I wouldn't even freak out, because I would see them, you know, at least a dozen times a day. There was one time I was watching The Fourth Kind with my dad. The movie really freaked me out. And so my dad and I just kind of were just talking with each other about it, you know, and the topic of demonic possession got brought up, because that's kind of what it seemed like to him. We were just talking about like demons and stuff, and you know, he was just talking to me, and I was sitting there looking at him, listening, and above his head I see, and I've never seen anything like this since then, but it was right above his head, and it was a red orb, and it moved, I have to go back here, it moved from his head, kind of did like a little weaving motion, and then like dissipated, and it left an orange tail behind it. And I've never seen anything like that since then, but that really, really scared me, the fact that we were on the topic of demons and demonic possessions, and seeing that orb come out of my dad's head. Like, I remember I got like chills. I got like, when you get really scared, like your eyes water for some weird reason. That's what, you know, my eyes were watering. Yeah, and all of those phenomenon would happen very, very frequently. I wouldn't always like see apparitions or hear footsteps where there's nobody around, you know, but I very, very frequently felt the cold rushes of air. I saw orbs all the time, and the hair on my arm would just kind of like stand on end. There's one time that I was sitting in my living room watching TV, and with the way that our couch was positioned, I could see out into the entryway. And, you know, I was just chilling there watching TV. Nothing's on my mind but the show that I'm watching. And all of a sudden, I see this massive, massive black entity. And when I say massive, I mean at least 7 feet tall. Like, this thing was huge. And I saw it like come out of our staircase, come towards the living room, and then bolt down the hallway. And it moved so quickly that I wasn't even sure that I saw what I saw. But then I started getting, like, you know, these weird feelings, just like being watched, just like something wasn't right. And it was very, very frequently in that house that I just felt like an evil presence, and there's no way to explain it. Like, you just have to experience it. There was another time where, must have been a weekend or something, but I was getting ready to just sit back for the night and like watch a movie and, you know, relax. And this was around the time that we got my dog. So I get on the couch and I'm looking for a movie to watch, and out of nowhere, I hear what to me sounds like scratching and banging on the wall. And it sounded like it was either coming from the kitchen or our study. At first, I thought that it was like, it sounded like a bookshelf was falling, like something was falling. But it continued, and it sounded like something was banging and scratching on something. And like my mind was just racing. I was like, something's falling. And then it didn't sound like that anymore. It sounded like the banging and scratching. And I was like, well, my dog's name is Bella. Well, Bella must be doing something. And as that thought pops into my head, she comes running out of wherever she was. She came running out to come with me, and she jumps up on the couch and is like huddling next to me. And you know, they say that animals just have like this sixth sense when it comes to something paranormal. Well, that's how I was pretty sure that it was whatever was in the house that was making that sound. And I've never heard anything make sounds like that. Anytime that I've heard what I assume is a ghost or a spirit making sounds, it's been very subtle, like knocking or creaking or footsteps. It's never been like violent like that. As that was happening, I was literally like, I was in a fetal position like this, just waiting for it to be over. And I'm just sitting there paralyzed. I couldn't move, and the hair again is standing up. My hair is standing up on end again, and I'm just sitting there waiting for it to be over, and then it ends. And then I just sit there, and I'm like, what just happened? And then when I was able to move again, I feel so bad I left my dog. But I bolted up into my room and like called it a night. I was so terrified, and I feel so bad for leaving my dog down there with the demons, but man, I was terrified. So anyway, that's kind of all I've got for today. I think I have like probably one more video's worth of story time about my house, about my old house. Then after that, I'll kind of move on to like other things that I've experienced in other houses and other buildings around the base. And then I think it would be kind of fun to like look up some ghost stories, like published ghost stories about the base, because there's quite a few. So thanks for taking the time to watch my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know how you're liking the series, and I will talk to you guys next time.